authorization objects and the user assignments. And then we created a profile and we compared it, and it updated the user master in SU01. So this is the user. Oh, mouse, master. T-E-R. Master. So the user master, we found that also in SU01, we could add the role and profile directly. So we can either add the role and profile in SU01, or we can add the user in Profile Generator. We can use it either way. Role to user or user to role. Okay, so next section. The SAP system has a way of for configurations, right? You know about configuring SAP. SPRO, Spro is the transaction, which takes us to the SAP reference IMG. The SAP reference IMG is where we configure the system. This is a list of all the tables that can be altered to make SAP work one way or another. So this is configuration. If I look in SAP NetWeaver, I can look at general settings. I can set the country codes here. Here I can set the currencies. So all the configurations, all the data that the data system uses, units of measure, calendar, time zones. So SAP have data in here to start with. So we can check the units of measurement here. And here we can look at units of measurement. And there are things here that have been put in there by SAP. Okay. But you can add to them. Here, there's a book, a little note that tells you how to do that. And here it says everything about how to do creating a unit of measurement and a dimension and an ISO code. So this is what a configuration person does. If you want to configure SAP to work differently to standard, you come in here and you change things. By default, I would say SAP have got about 10 or 20% of the information you need to run a company. The 80% you have to put in yourself. It depends on your business, how you want to run SAP. So in financial accounting, for instance, there'll be no information about your banks, your assets, your accounts and ledgers setup. You have to generate that from scratch. Okay. So in general ledger account, you have to create a thing called master data. And master data is all through this system. Here you can put in GL accounts. And you add a GL account of a particular type. A GL account can either be for customers or for suppliers. And then we put those GL accounts into a common general ledger where we can create a profit and loss statement. So all of these things is about creating chart of accounts. In here, we can look at the chart of accounts. There's some set up here because this is a test training system. And here we can look at the settings for this accounts. Okay. So all of this is configuration. The particular part, oh, come out. Okay, so come out. So there's configuration, and there's configuration where there's settings, and there's configurations of terms of master data. So what the hell is master data, and what is configuration, and why do we need it? So we need a new drawing. When you go on to, let's see, can do so. So if I add one of those things here, this is master data. The information is related to a material, which in this case is finished goods. The finished goods comprise of a meter, some knobs, a body, a head, and a handle. Okay. So this information altogether is coming from the database. That database is holding this as master data. If I look in the book, in the cart, it's got some master data of me. The master data here is customer. If you put two pieces of information together, the customer master data and the material master data, you can then create a transaction. Place an order. €20 shipping. I'm not paying that. Okay. So, placing the order, which I won't do because I don't want these things anyway, would create a transaction. And that is what the business does to actually make money, is to transact. But we might want to use that customer data again. And we might want to use, hopefully quite a lot, this material again. So we store it once in the database and use it many times. This is the master data. Yeah. The transaction is you actually making money. Yeah. You're recording the fact that something's happened. But you can only record that something's happened if you've created this data in advance. So we must create those things in advance. So we need to create materials. MMO3. If we look at a material, I haven't a clue what you've got in your system. Just look for anything. Oh, there's lots of crap. So in here, there's a quartz Ziploc bag. Have a look at that. And now select the view. Basic data. Go. So this is the master data for a Ziploc bag. So to be able to sell something, we must first enter it as materials. If you're manufacturing it, then you'll have to have a bill of materials to create a finished goods. If you're buying something, furniture from somebody else and reselling it, then you can have it just as a single material as a finished good. So the base unit of measure is a piece. There's the material, there's the description. Here's the weight, the volume and weight unit. So it's 10 grams. I don't know what the volume unit M3 is. Let's have a look. M3. Cubic meter. Okay. And then we can have a look at basic data 2, see if there's anything else in it. No. Accounting. So a material, if you're shipping it from somewhere or you're making it from somewhere, you need to organize it from the plant. Okay. So the plant will dictate where you ship from. So there'll be a plant and then a shipping point, or a warehouse and a shipping point. You need to define that. And what we'll do is we'll create let's see, warehouse. So there's half the data's not in here anyway, but whatever. Max capacity. Yeah. All right. So there's not an awful lot of data on this, but hey, whatever. So what we've done is we've created a material, and that's what we'd use as a master data. So generally speaking, we try and create a master data team, and they're responsible for making sure everything is consistent in the system for us to sell that goods. Yeah. We also then want to manage our customers. So sales master data. So in here is our customer. So a customer is a master data as well. So here we go to VDO1. Why is it so slow? Let's try XDO3. Okay, so here's our customer number. I haven't a clue what the customer numbers might be in here. Customers by company code. So when we're trying to create a customer, we want to put that customer as close to where the goods can be found. So if there's a company for your France unit near Nice, then which company will supply Nice? Well, obviously the one nearest. Okay, so we try and match whichever that is. In terms of sales teams, we want to match the sales team to the company code that's doing the sales and the distribution channel. So that means we also need to have some organization data. We need to know the way our company is laid out so that we can assign customers to the organization and assign materials to the organization so they meet. So we plan the way our data works. Let me just try and see if I can find any data. Ooh, there's lots of data. So Marcelo, was that Brazil? To Frankfurt. The police. Oh, I'm not sure about Anna. Let's try Anna. So here is a customer. I'm not going to choose which sales area. It's going to. This customer is already assigned company code 1000. Okay. So we'll say okay. There's our customer. Again, this is master data. So here is some data. We've got an address, postcode. And here we've got a location and a transport zone. Payment transactions will go into this bank account. So if you get any money from this customer, put it into this bank account. Okay. So when you create a sale with a Visa card, and that Visa card payment will go to this bank account. We then, when we reconcile the sale of the goods, we reconcile the goods leaving the company with this payment. We match everything. One database, everything together. Here we can look at sales area information. So this should be filled out, but it's not. So if we're doing a sales, we should be assigned to a sales organization, distribution channel, and division. So your division might have warehousing and what is it? Furniture. So you may have two divisions in your company. Yeah. Two arms of the business, one part doing one kind of business, one part doing the other. So the division will be there. And then the distribution channel is which distribution channel is going to handle transportation. Okay, so I'm going to sell this customer some chairs and tables. The distribution channel says who's going to take that to the customer. The sales organ, so whoever the salesperson was, is going to get credit for the sale. And that will go against their targets. So we want to know who is going to get credit, and that's the sales org. So everything in ERP is connected. We need to know how that's connected. Now, let's do a drawing. So your organization, what's it called again? One of you. What is it called?
E-K-O-Y.
Ecovia.
No.
Ecovia, yes.
Something like this.
It's a Y instead of the I.
Yes.
All right. So your company, your organization is that's the whole thing. So that's your main company unit. Okay. So then you'll have branches of that for you're doing warehouse storage, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll just put storage and furniture. Yeah.
Sales.
So you are selling furniture,
Yes.
and where are you making it or buying it?
Buying. On a
So-
produit, on a...
So you're reselling.
Yeah,
Buying and
yes.
reselling.
Reselling, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And storage, you've got some big warehouses and you're selling space.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people can come and bring things into your storage.
Yes.
Yes. Reselling.
Okay, so these are divisions.
Mhm.
So we're dividing Ecovia into two divisions. Yeah. You can't actually distribute storage because it's just storage, right? But in furniture, you may have more than one distribution point. So is the furniture coming from one storage location and one warehouse?
Yes.
Or you're going to have more than one warehouse?
No, just one.
Just one.
Just one.
Just one. So your furniture is going to have one distribution point. So your division, this is probably going to be 0, 1. This is probably going to be divisions 0, 2. Your distribution is probably going to be something like 10. It's just the way SAP numbering kind of works. But and your company is your overall situation. So in some cases, this might be a group, and this might be two separate companies. Yeah, but you have one company in two divisions. So the distribution, and under this distribution, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4 shipping points. So this is where the lorry backs up to the warehouse. Those shipping points will be labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, the bays at the back. So we'll have shipping point. That should be an I. Oops. Okay, now back to pencil.
Shipping
Shipping point. You'll have a warehouse as well. So this will be the warehouse. This will be shipping point. So these will be bays. And they'll be picking information. So this is our organizational structure from one view. Okay. Very simple. Quite often there's multiple different divisions, lots of distribution points, lots of shipping points, lots of storage locations. There could be one company doing this. This is the France version. As you get bigger, of course, you'll probably go into Germany or Holland or Belgium, right? So then there'll be kind of extra companies added to each country with a similar structure underneath it. And then this will all map up to a group for group financial accounting. So the group is just an entity, it isn't a location. And then all of these report to a group. So this is one level of organizational structure. Okay. In this case, we need to have a company code. So this is our company code. So that the customers for furniture and the customers for storage, right, can be assigned to a single company code. Okay, so they'll be assigned a customer, will be assigned a company code. But also the sales org. So where's the sales org live? So that's our division. So underneath here is our sales team. So we don't have to have sales just in France. We can sell from anywhere. We can have online sales and a sales office. So this might be online. And this might be Lyon, the sales office locally. And they may have two different codes depending on which customer. So the customer here rings up the sales office in Lyon. So this will be assigned to the Lyon code, whatever that code is. So the company code could be 1000 and the Lyon sales office might be 1030, whatever the number is. Okay. So we are defining who's going to get credit for any sales for this customer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in the customizing of SAP, you have to tell SAP that this is your organizational structure. You have to tell SAP what is your sales areas and sales numbers to link the customers to your sales location. Okay. In terms of the furniture is actually a material, isn't it? That's what we sell, materials. Say yes, Jeff?
Yes, Jeff. Yes.
So there's our material. So MM03 materials. We create a whole load of those materials. And we need to assign it to that company code and to this warehouse so that we can link that warehouse and material to this division so that this division can be sold to by this sales office. Okay. so that we get it from the right place. So if we've got Ecovia Holland, they'll have a different warehouse, and the material that they're selling could be the same material, but it's linked to a different warehouse. So you could have materials assigned to multiple warehouses. So you can sell the same table and chairs in France and Holland. But if you put it in a different warehouse, then the sales in not Lyon, but Holland, Amsterdam, right? The sales office in Amsterdam will be linked to the warehouse in Holland, so that the material comes from the right warehouse and the sales go to the right sales location. Okay. If we get it wrong, then somebody from Lyon will get the sale for something that's being sold in Holland. If we get something sold in Holland, we may get it shipped from France. So now we have to be careful, right? So what we do with security is that we break the roles into more than one segment, so that the people in one location can't by mistake sell or allocate to the wrong country code. Yes? You're all looking confused and worried. Are you okay?
No.
Any questions?
Just repeat the last sentence.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we've got a customer in France and a customer in Holland, and we've got a sales team in France and a sales team in Holland. So this is sales. And we've got distribution, which is warehousing and trucks and everything. Distribution. Oh God, have I got to do that again? Right. Okay. Do that like that. Distribution in France and Holland. So what we want to do is to make sure that the sales codes and customers all make sense. So the sales office will be 1020 here, 10 or 1030 here, and 1040 here. The distribution channel will be 10 here and 20 here. The company code is all the same, because Ecovia is just company code 1000. So all the customers will be assigned to that company code, but we need to assign them to different sales orgs and different distribution channels. We also want to make sure that the material, chairs and desks, right, that is stored in the warehouse as material So this is material, I don't know, 630. This is material 630. But this is in warehouse 01. This is in warehouse 02. So the same materials in two different warehouses. It would make sense that if we've sold in France from Lyon that the distribution of the material goes to the customer in France. Yeah, and not Holland. And in Holland, they have their own numbers. So if the sales team in Holland sell to Holland, then the material will be picked, put into distribution and distributed to the customer like this. If there's no stock in Holland, we might be allowed to ship it from France, but that's a separate rule. Okay. The sales team, whoever sells it, needs to be given the credit of this because most salespeople are paid by bonuses. The bonuses are derived from their sales organization credits. Okay, so you can't be giving the sales credit to Holland for something that's sold in France. Yeah, the sales team will be very upset. Okay, so how we need to make sure that this is built into the organizational structure, and that when we give this sales person their access, we make sure that they're not allowed these codes. Okay.
Okay.
So we want to restrict our users just to be able to do our codes. How do we do that? So if I go back into my role, PFCG, and I go and put in my GR00 sales role, go into change mode as the pencil, glasses is to display, and that's to create. So I want to change. And what I want to do is change the authorizations to restrict it to be just France. So I go into the authorizations. I go into change the authorizations. And here I'm going to look at the organizational levels. So the company code, I need to be Ecovia, whatever that is. A, B, C, D, E. Have you created the company yet?
No.
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 No. So it's going to be one of these companies, probably Z something. Oh, look, there's a previous one.
C'est peut-être les anciennes.
Oui, c'est unlock.
So I'll choose this one. Okay. Then there's an operating concern. This it links the financial accounts. So that's the legal entity financially. This is the controlling area. So this is the management accounts roll-up numbers. Now we want the warehouse number. So which warehouse are we going to come from? Lean warehouse. No, it's probably going to be a Z something. Oh, look, Z warehouse area. You're going to have to create your own versions of these, right? Profit center is for reporting division. So which division are we? Are we in food, elevators, high-tech services? What are we doing here? We're not Ecovia HR. We're not HR. We're not Ampliva. We don't have TM freight forwarding biscuits. No. So we don't have a warehouse division listed here. We've only got a HR division for Ecovia. So there's some work to be done there to create a division. I'll just choose division. Sales organization, who sold it? have a look. Yeah, guess it's going to be the ones at the bottom again. Let's have a look. Leon's sales org. All right, yeah. So Ecovia HR. No, Ecovia France sales org. Oh, that looks like it. Let's try that one. So shipping point. So is there a shipping point next to the distribution channel? Have a look. Shipping point, Shiva, showroom, factory, shipping inbound, outbound, plant outbound delivery. No, we don't. A Ecovia shipping point. Oh, look, we'll have one of those.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a distribution channel. So are we general trade? Are we exports? Reseller? We'll probably have a specific. What do we got here? Ecovia, this internet sales and direct sales. So those are the two types of so direct sales and internet sales. So I'll choose direct sales for this customer. And then plant. Strangely, even though you're not making something, you have to have a plant because it links the shipping points. So even though you don't actually make anything, we create a plant. EK. Yeah, no Ecovia one, is there? There's lots of Leon's ones, so I'm not sure which ones were. I'll just choose this one. Okay. So that now limits that this salesman can only operate in Leon and the Ecovia domain. You see how I've restricted now? Okay, so now I can save that. And now that means that we can't do anything outside of those limits. And that makes sure that they don't make mistakes by selling to a different region, shipping from the wrong warehouse and so on. Yes? Makes sense? And we'll do that for different roles to make sure that everybody stays within the right area and they don't make mistakes. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to save that and generate it. Okay. Go and do that to your own roles. Aha. How do you do what? Let me show you again. Let me show you from the beginning. So from the beginning. Gosh, is it my internet slow? I'm going into PFCG, this transaction here. And then I'm putting in my roll number, not 00, your number. 01, 02, 09. And then I'm going to do change. You'll see 3 green lights because everything's lovely. But we're going to change authorizations. So we need to click on the authorization tab. And then change authorization data at the bottom. This is what it looks like then. Everything is green and lovely. So we need to log on as our user, test user. So GR, test user.
Test user. Il faut revenir tout.
And we want to do a sales order, right?
Avec le GR.
The order type is OR, standard order. If you pull down the list, it'll show you what kind of orders you can do. There's kind of lots of orders. So you'd have to go into that customer, assign them a sales area, and then we can sell something. In any case, if I got this sold to party and items in and press save, it would say I'm not allowed to sell to this on this company code. Okay. So because of all those restrictions, things aren't going to happen here. Everything has to be aligned for this to work. So this sales organization is not going to match the sales organization of the customer, and it's not going to match my sales organization that I've assigned. So I'm never going to get this order created. Okay, I'm going to keep getting red error messages. So the only thing that's going to get around that is if I choose my correct sales org. And then it'll start working again. This one. So now I press enter. Now I've got a sales order assigned. Now I need to find a sold to party, a customer, that has that same sales org. So on the top here, is there something that customers per sales group? Okay, let's have a look at that. Show me the customers in this sales org. So now I've got one customer. So I can choose that customer. And now there's no red lights. So I've aligned my sales org, which I have the authorizations to the sales org of the customer. So the only customer we can use, all of us, is 10026. Now is sell some materials. Okay, so in the materials, what can we sell? So is there anything materials by material group? Quick search, description, product hierarchy. Nothing that links it to a particular warehouse or anything. So let's just try and see if we can find any old material that works. So the chances are what we're going to look for, see up here it says 500 entries. If I pull this little arrow down, it says I've limited it to 500. So if I put 9999, press enter again, we see how many materials we have. Okay, so we've got 5,000 materials. Even though I've asked for 9,000, so there's 5,000 materials. If I go to the end, at the end. Now, impact drill. Give them an impact drill. Quantity 1. Press enter. No sales area can be determined. What that means is that this material can't be assigned to this sold to party person because there's no linkage between that product and what I'm trying to do in the sales side of things. So there's nowhere in the configuration that this material can be sold to this customer. So it looks kind of difficult, but if everything is filled in correctly, it's quite easy for the user to sell. They put in the customer, They put in the material, they press enter, and the sales order is created. Everything else comes from the master data. But if the master data isn't right, we can't do anything. Yeah?
Yes.
And in this case, this material is not assigned as a material that we're allowed to sell because we've restricted it.
Mhm.
If I do SU53, it tells me what I'm trying to do. And it says, this is what I'm trying to get to. These are the things I've been trying to access.
Yes.
And these are the errors that stopped me from doing it. So I was trying to do activity 1, create, to division ZM with sales org ZLSO and distribution channel Z9. So the ZM and Z9 were not what I was choosing. That's not what I'm authorized to do. So that's why I couldn't use that product. So if you're trying to be supporting somebody, they're trying to do their work and they can't get it done. And they say, I can't get this sales order to work. This is one of the things that the security team use to try and find out why it's not working. And we say, we look at the codes you've got and the codes you're trying to use and say you're using the wrong codes, use the right product. Here, you can see I've got my everybody transactions, evaluate the authorization check, maintain Spro requests, as well as my business actions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create a composite role and tidy this up. So what I'm going to do is create GR sales, use the same number, right? Underscore comp. So get your role number, GR number underscore sales, and then put underscore comp on the end. And what we're going to do is press this button here, not create single role, but create composite role. So I'm going to press that, create composite role. And now it looks like this.
Voilà, c'était quoi?
So, create composite role. And here it says, what roles do you want to put into this container role? So composite role is just a container for multiple single roles. So I'm going to go and grab those multiple single roles. And I'm going to put in the single roles I just created. GR00 underscore sales. And the GRXX underscore everyone. And then press save. And then go into the menu tab.
Faut mettre le GR.
Mon GR, ok.
In the menu tab, there's nothing. So you import menus from the two single rows.
Ça marche pas, ça.
If you open this up, you see you have two folders.
Ça marche pas. Ça refuse.
Okay, I'm going to press save.
No.
No. Okay.
What I might do is just change the name of this because
No.
these are a bit technical. So I'm just going to put here, I'm going to change the text to just sales. And if I double click this bottom one, I just put general. So you can change the name of things. You can move things around. You can drag and drop. And you can put one inside the other. Whatever you want to do to make it look. So I'm going to press save finally. And then assign it to our user. To change the names of the folders, you just double click the folder and change the text on the right hand side. When you're finished, save your work and then go to the next tab.
Oh no.
So then we go to our user and we're going to assign it to our user gr number test. Now we have to do a user comparison again to get this role name assigned to the user and to transfer the single roles to that user as well as the profiles. So you press user comparison, you save it, and master record is changed. Now, see what's happened with the roles. We now have a composite role,
Okay. Oh,
which is a direct assignment. And we've also got direct assignments of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete GR sales. Oh, it's back. And I'm going to delete everybody.
Yes, okay.
And what's happened is there was these two set roles were assigned twice, once by the composite and once directly. So I'll show you what happens if I delete the entire composite role. Let me just take the name from this so I can. Oh, look at that. It opens like that. So I'm going to delete the composite role. So there's nothing left, okay? I'm going to save. And then I'm going to add the composite role when it goes back into change mode. So there's no roles. I'm going to add the composite role, press enter, and the composite container comes in and brings in the two child roles with it because the container contains the two child roles. If I look at the profiles, I only have two profiles because the authorizations are in the single roles, not in the container. So the composite role never has authorizations. It only has other single roles, and the single roles have their authorizations. The icons change. This has two wheels, which shows it's a composite role, and this is a single row. We've directly assigned the composite, and these assign came from the fact that there were composite roles. So quite often, if you get something like a AP accountant or a manager role, they might have 10 or 15 single roles. Okay. Trying to remember what that job is in terms of 10 or 15 roles is difficult. If you put it in a container role, then as people leave and join as that job, you can definitely make sure they've got the right authorizations because you give them the composite role with everything they need. So we have some tasks in the system that need to be done repetitively. Okay, some reports that need to be done over and over. So we have this process where we can look at jobs that are run in the background. And all these jobs are run in the background by the system. Seems to be a lot of the same job, but hey, there's a different one here and a different one here. So these are batch jobs. So this is created by this user here. And we can see that this is the job that's running, and this is the user that's being used. This kind of user, we don't want to be able to log on as. And we want this user to be able to not have the password changed because we want it to run forever. Yeah. So you might have a policy for normal users to change their password every 60 days or every 90 days. Okay. So there are different types of users. In SU01, if I go and look at the user type on logon data, see the user type, we have type dialog. So here we have 2, 3, 4 other ones. A reference user is where we can create a user, give it some roles, and add that reference user logon details, role details to this user. I don't like using it. I think it's lazy. That leaves us 4 types. One is system, one is communication, and one is service. The batch user is of type system. Okay, so there's a couple of differences between the two. So I draw this square. And here I put password change. And here we put dialog logon. So this is dialog logon, you're allowed, and this is password change. And this is password change, yes, no. And this is dialog logon, yes, no. So the type dia, the user we've just created, we can log on with, and we have to do a password change over time. The system user does not have a logon and does not have a password change. So that's system. So this is my batch user. So it's only used within the system. Okay. Now there's another type of dialog user that doesn't have a password change. And that's a service user. So if you've got a web page service, you have to be able to get a dialog session to the service without a password because it's the same service for everybody. Once you get to that service and want to do anything else with it, you have to log on after that as a dialog user. But initially, the service is open. The last one is a non-logon user with a password change. and this is if type communications. The type of communications we use is for a bank. If we're having a system, our ERP system, and we want to connect to a bank, we want to connect as a non-dialogue user because it's system to system. But the bank insists on a password change for this connection every 60 or 90 days. So this is the communications user we use for that. The ERP system that has a recurring job is a system user. System user, okay. If this is providing a web service, then the web service has to have a dialogue session. So here's our laptop. So it's a dialogue log on, no password, because there's got to be many people using the same service. And we can't have a different password for all the different people. So there's no password. So that's then runs a program on here where it gets checked. So this is the service. And then there's the normal dialogue user where you log in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's different types of user with different dialogue and password requirements, depending on the type of service we're offering. So in here, system user is a batch user, doesn't have a password. Communications data does have a password, but you can't log on as that user. The service user you can log on to, but there will be no password. I say that there's an internet, a web server on this. And there is. There has been since around 2000. So it's been around 24 years. So this is the web server of this ERP system. It's called the Internet Connection Manager. And these are all the threads and connections waiting. So it's waiting for 500 connections. Now, we've not actually exposed any services for a service user to connect to, but we could do if we wanted to. Let me show you one. If I go into the Internet Connection Framework, SICF, this is like the firewall where I can turn on and off services. And if I put in the service name star GUI star, find it that way. Web GUI for HTML. So this is a web service, okay? And here we can put on the logon data, and we could put on the user, which would have a type service connection, okay? Now, if I go back one, at this time, there's no security. What I can do is test this service. Where's the test service gone? Activate, deactivate. It's active. Where's test service come? Recorder, trace, runtime analysis. Service, create, activate, alias. Good.
Service create now.
Service is active. I should be able to do a test here. Every other system in the world, I can do this. Ah, here we go. Test service, look. If you right click on here, guys, watch. Right click on here, test service. We're now in a browser. Oh, can't reach this page. It's running SAP BC GUI, SAP ITS Web GUI in Client 800 from Amazon.com. So we're across an internet connection. And now it's asking for a username and password. So if I put in my GWrite, log on. This is definitely in the browser, right? So I'm going into your ERP system through the cloud. There it is there. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So here I've got user maintenance system, the same as I have with the GUI, but I'm coming across through a web server. So here I can go and edit user IDs. And there's different pop-up windows. It's being handled slightly differently, but I can do exactly the same as I did in the backend. And that's where I'd put our service user. Okay, the service to get the service connected. I'm going to create a different type of role. Okay, so I'm going to call this sales underscore EKO. Right. So I'm going to create a new single role. GR6, no, not GR00. Sales EKO. So I'm going to create a new single role. This time, I'm going to use this one. Transaction inheritance from this role. So I'm going to say, go and find all the menu stuff and the authorization stuff from GR00 underscore sales. So I'm going to create an inheritance, and I want to get it from this imparting role. Okay, so I've created an inheritance relationship. So this is now the father role, and this is now the child role. If I change something in this role, the child role will change as well. Okay. Now I'm not going to do anything else with this other than save it. And I'm going to go back to the master role. Father. And something has changed in that role. So if I go to this role, this is now what I call a master role. So I'm going to change it. In the authorizations, or in the menu, this is what we have in the menu. In the authorizations, I'll go into change. And I've got a new button called Generate Derived Roles. So from the inheritance, I can derive the role for the child. Okay. But before I do that, I'm going to take away all of the organizational values, all of these values. So I'm going to select all and delete all of the authorizations and save. That's going to give some reds, but I don't care. So I'm going to press save, generate. And push. So generate the derived roles. There's a whole load of warnings and stuff, and I just ignore it. So go, and I say generate. Okay, what's that done? So I come back out. Come back out. And go and look at my child role. Underscore EKO. Okay. Now I didn't do anything with the authorizations there at all, did I? But they're green. Because I've pushed the authorizations from the master. If I go and look at this, I find I've got all the authorizations exactly as per the master. At this point, I start putting in all of my restrictions again. Yeah. Okay, so I'll say that one. And let's assume that everything else is okay. So I'm just going to do that one. So save and generate it. Obviously, I'd go through all the other ones as well, but for the point of training, what I want to show you is what's going to happen next. So what I'm going to do now is create another role called SPE, say. So I'm going to create a new single role. And I'm going to derive it from the same gr00 underscore sales role. I've got the menu, no authorizations, save. So I come back out, go back to the master and push again. So I've gone to the master. Go into authorizations. Change. And push. Ignore the warning. And generate. Okay. So I come back out and go and have a look at my child. So my child is sales underscore SPE. I go and change that. And I should find that I have all my authorizations again. and go and change them. This time I'm going to look at the organization values and I'm going to change the company code to SPE. Okay, so the idea is that this is all set for Holland and the other one's set for France. I would fill in all the others as well, right? So I've now got two roles. They're both doing exactly the same job. So they're both sales reps, but one's the sales rep for Holland and one's the sales rep for France. So I'm going to save and generate. Now, say over a period of time, the job changes a little and we have to add a transaction to the master. See what happens. So I'm going to go back into the master and I'm going to change the menu. So here's the master. So I'm going to change the menu, change this and put MMO4. Okay, so for some reason they want to have a look at the change documents. So I move that down next to MMO3. Keeps it neat. Okay, so there's a new feature, a new app. So they want to see if any materials have changed. Okay, so I'll press save. Because I've got a new transaction, the authorizations go red. So you've got to have an authorization for that new transaction. So I'll go in there. I go and do a change. I have a look at the new one. This one's been updated and this one's new. So there's something new here. See this material types materials, these are new. So I need to make these green. Oh, but new, just the new ones. Okay. Have a look at the organizational levels, see if there's anything new. Nothing new. Okay. So I've fixed the authorizations so that it will work. I press save. I press generate. And then generate derived rows. Gives me that warning again. I ignore it. Generate it again. Okay, let's go and see what happened to the children. What do we want to happen to the children? Anyone ideas?
Want them to have new authorizations.
Yeah. But what we don't want to change is the org values that we've set up. We want them to stay the same. So let's see if that's what's happened. So in the menu, I've got MMO4. In the authorizations, I've got materials management. And the new ones here, I've got the green ones from the master. And the org values have not been overwritten. The org values in the master are blank. Okay. So these are never touched when we send information from the master. Once these are set up, That's it. So these will remain set up for France. Okay, super. So we expect SPE to be the same, and it still have its setting for Holland, right? One, two, three, SPE. So have a look in here. What we want is the new menu item, MMO4. Have a look at the authorizations. The authorizations are green. If I go in here, all the other things are green. The reds I don't mind because they're going to be handled by the org values in the children. If I go into org values, there is my Holland company code. So they stay the same. So that's the purpose of that. So if you've got 15 different sales organizations, do you want to maintain 15 different job roles and try and keep them in synchronization? No. You create one master and 15 children. So you're only updating the authorizations on one, and everybody gets the same menu and same authorizations. The only thing that changes is the restrictions for your country code. Yeah. So under HR, human resources, there is organizational management. And underneath that, we can create an organizational plan. And here we can create PPOME, change the organization and staffing plan. PPOME. Now don't touch this. I'm doing this. All right. In here we can specify, say Apple, for instance. Apple will have a massive org structure. Okay. In here, there is a test org structure already set. So if I just check for the org unit level. So this here then should show me the org structure. So there's lots of different companies under here for organizations. And there should be one for, let's just take, say, sales, corporate services, human resources, sales east. Let's try, where are you? You are kind of south, aren't you? That's service, not sales. There. Sales south. So up here, where is the drop down bar? I want to hide the, go down here, shrink. Okay. So in here, I've got a manager. He's got a little hat on. And a position, and a position, and a position, and a position. The position is an instance of a job. So sales assistant, sales south assistant is a job called sales assistant that only lives here in sales south. So the position of sales assistant in the south. So what we should assign this is a job called sales assistant. Yeah, but it has to be a derived role for the south. And then in sales north, there's the sales assistant for north. That should have exactly the same menu, but different org values for the north region, right? So whatever the north of France does, that sales assistant will have the same job, but with different org data. So what we can do is we can assign or link roles to this position. And we can link people to these position and user IDs to this position. So we can get the person, the person we pay, their user ID, and the job role all linked together in this structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign Sales North Assistant. First name, last name. Last name, see if I can find something by luck. No. Let's try sales then. No, let's try. No. There's no. Is there anybody in here? Give me anybody. $4,000 entries. Oh God. Oh, Chinese. Jesus. Okay. Foster is Jody Foster. Oh no, close. So here. Oh dear. Mrs. Jodie Foster is a boss of Canadian Human Resources. Oops, I got the wrong user there, but hey, whatever. I'm gonna chance it. Okay. No company. Let's see what happens if you don't get the master data right. It all goes horribly wrong. And here we can assign anything. Let's see. Organizational assignment. There's nothing here for me to work with. All right, never mind. But the idea is that we should be able to get something in here. Let me see if I can find anything in here that's already set up. This looks like something might be set up. Aha. Here, you can see that somebody has been assigned here. A person has been assigned to a position. Yeah. That person could also be assigned. So if I take this personnel ID number, 1548, I can see whether that their user ID has been assigned. I wonder if I can assign a user ID to that. No. To here. Organizational assignments, structure search, free search. What I want to do is assign a user ID, but it may force me to do it a different way. I want to assign personal data. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. All right, I'll do it the other way. Okay, so I'll come out of here. And I'll go into PA30. Put in my user and see if I can assign a user ID. So in here, this is where we actually maintain the details of that user. So here we can see, I can look at their personal data, view the data, and see that they live in this area here, married since blah, 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 religion, all the stuff I shouldn't be able to see because of GDPR, right? Never mind. So in here, down here, there should be a user ID. There isn't. So I need to assign an additional. I need to create an info type. Ugh. I hate info. So in here, I want to put in 1001. So this subtype's 1001, info type 1004, is it? User not found. System. System not found. Oh, where is it then? Status. Works, military, leave, guardian, child, tax, construction, entitlements, personal tax, employee pensions, tax, absence, stay, pension, insurance, retired, pension, pension. US deductions, payroll, leave, suspension, sanctions, reoccurring, weekly, overtime. Where's the info type for? Can't find it. There, person ID. No. 1001. No. Okay, so in here, if I could add this value here, it will allow me to put my user ID, which is gr00_test, right? And then that links the person number to the person ID, and then that links that to the position. What's this got to do with roles? You probably asked, right? Yeah, what's it got to do with roles? So in roles, PFCG, I'm going to add this role. Now I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to turn on complete view, and then change this role. There's in user, there's a few other tabs. Don't worry about those other tabs. In the user now, I've got an organizational management, which is the HR button. So I'm going to link this role to a position in the org structure. So I'm going to link this role to a position. So I create an assignment to a position, and I can't remember where it is now. It doesn't matter where it is really. So if I do, was it sales something, wasn't it? Sales representative. Okay. It could be under here as well, which is sales. It was sales north and all that sort of stuff, wasn't it? Now, where is that under? Ooh, look at all this stuff.
음.
Might have to clean out all this rubbish and start again. Where is? Let's just choose this one, right? Sales. Say okay. Do you want to make this role assigned to this representative from now until forever? Say okay. All right. If there was a user ID assigned to that sales representative, it would automatically bring that user in, and we could reconcile that user. So this role goes to the user via the org structure. So it's indirectly assigning. So we are not assigning the role to the user. We're assigning the role to the position, but we've assigned the user to the position as well. So we get it indirectly. Okay. No HR matchup necessary. So, all right. Okay, fine. If we could get a user into that position, then this would go green. We'd have a user ID, we'd do a user comparison, and everything would be fine. That structure, we have different positions. So this is a position, a sales assistant, and we're assigning a role to that position. And then we're assigning a person person to that position. And we're going to assign a user ID to that position. So that we've got a user ID to the position, a person to the position, and a role. So we know who it is personally that belongs to that user ID. So we've got a mapping between person and user ID. And then this role is then indirectly assigned to that user ID. So by pressing that double down arrow button, it is then fully assigned to the user ID to the role. This is the button that we press. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
It also means that we can assign roles to other points in the org structure here. So we could assign a role here, and we could assign a role here. So if we assigned the everyone role here, then everyone, wherever they are in the org structure, would get the everybody role. Okay. If there's a specific role for France, we could put the France role for everybody in France here. So anybody underneath this will get the roles above. It's kind of neat. The only problem I've had with this is that nobody is able to maintain this for very long. There's a lot of links that need to be maintained. And I find that HR don't want to be adding user IDs because they don't know what they are. Security don't want to add user IDs to HR because they don't know HR. So normally when this gets set up, there's 1 or 2 people that know how to do it. When they leave, the whole thing falls apart. The concept is quite neat. Ericsson's, you know, the people that used to make phones, they now just make telecom equipment. Ericsson's in Sweden do actually manage this very, very well, and they have it totally configured. But I haven't seen any other company successfully roll that out. But that's the plan. And that's the button that we use to do that. Create an organizational link to the structure. So we're linking HR and the security roles. And here we can see we can link to an organizational unit such as France, to a work center, to a job, person, position, or to a user. Now we shouldn't actually link this to a user in here. I wonder what happens. I've never actually tried that. In all my years of doing this, I've never tried that. That's strange. I've been doing this since 1998. Some of you probably weren't born. I'll just use this one. Make a link between that and that. Okay, so now we've got an assignment directly to a user ID. And if I do indirect user assignment, it matches up. So you can do things like that. It's kind of neat if it kind of works, but so there's our user ID. Do have to do a user comparison now. Complete comparison. And that user now has this role. Okay. Now, anyone remember what a client is? Can't telepathically link to your teams. I shall see you Friday. Bye, 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 bye.